percentage of an amount. So let's just have a quick recap on what we have learnt already. So, percent. What does percent mean?
Out of 100.
Out of 100. So percent is out of 100. We talked about words beginning with cent, like century, centipede. What goes 99 click, 99 click? That's my joke for the day. Nobody know? A centipede with a wooden leg. 100 legs, 99 click? I try. Okay, so we know percent is out of 100. And we know if we had 60%, we know how to write that as a fraction. How would we write that as a fraction?
60 over 100.
60 out of 100. It's got to be out of 100 because it's percent. And percent is out of 100. Can anybody simplify that fraction for me?
30/50s.
You could just halve it and do 30/50. Can anybody think of a different, yes, you're quite right, but can anybody think of a different way of simplifying it?
That'll be 3/5.
3/5, yeah, let's just put the 30 and 50 in there. So we've halved it, made it 30 and 50, and then we've said how many tens in 30, how many tens in 50, and simplified it to 3/5. Good. So we know about percentages, we know how to convert a percentage into a fraction. How would we convert that percentage into a decimal?
You would do 0.3, no, 0.6, or there are 6 tens, and there are no units.
Yeah, we've got 60 hundredths, which is 6 blocks of 10. Yeah? No units, as you say. So no units, 6 blocks of 10. So it's 6 tenths or 60 hundredths. Good. So we know how to convert a percentage into a fraction. We know how to convert it into a decimal. So, if I had a fraction, and I said to you, could you convert that into a percentage, would you be able to do that?
28 out of 100.
Good. 28 out of 100. 28 hundredths, which is, everybody?
28%.
28%. Good. Okay, so we have learned a lot already. Okay? There's also some information that we just know because we are learning it, because we've talked about it, and because it's very useful. So we all know that a half is the same as what percentage?
50.
50%, which is
0.5.
0.5. We all know that. We should know that as useful information. We should have that stored in a box in our head marked useful information. We use it a lot. If I gave you a quarter, what would that be as a percentage?
25%.
25%. And as a decimal?
0.25.
0.25. Good. And then the other one that is really useful is 3/4, which is
75%.
75%, which is 0.75. So we already know lots about percentages and their links with decimals and fractions. And that's the really exciting thing about maths, because in maths, everything you learn eventually all fits together in one big jigsaw puzzle. And you'll find that today. You'll find some of the things that you've been using in maths previously will be really useful for this lesson and for all future lessons. It's a really exciting subject because it does all fit together. It all makes sense and fits together when you use the skills in different ways. So today we're going to think about finding 50%. If you are finding 50% of something, what do we know about 50%?
That's half.
It's a half. Good. Find 50% of 406. 50% is equal to a half. So we can divide by 2 to find 50%. So there we are, there's 406. Divide it in half. The answer will be 203. So if I said find 50% of 406, the answer would be 203. You would just halve it. And that just goes back to the important information that I've just been telling you about. We know 50% is a half. So if I gave you an amount and said find 50%, you would always put it in half. Okay? Then you can use that information to find 25%. 25% is half of a half or a quarter. Yeah? So if I said we've got 200 biscuits and 25% of them are to be eaten today, how would you find 25% of 200?
You would divide by 4.
You would. You divide it by 4 because we know 25% is a quarter. So we're finding a quarter. So we're halving it again, or dividing it by 4. So 200 divided by 4. If you're not sure about that, if you cover up one of the zeros, 20 divided by 4 is
5.
5. And then put the 0 back, it's 50. So 25% of 200 would be 50. Is everybody all right with that? The really useful thing about percentages and finding percentages of amounts is that you use what you know. So if you know how to find 50%, you know how to find 25%, then if you use those two bits of information together, you could actually find 75%. If you found 50% of something, 25% of something, put it together, you can make 75% of something. Let me show you on the next slide. So, complete the sentences. To find 50%, I can divide by
2.
2. To find 25%, I can divide by
4.
Good. To find 10%, I can divide by, we didn't talk about this one, but if you're finding 10%, what would you be dividing by?
5.
10%. Close.
10.
10. Yeah, you're dividing by 10. You're finding 10%. 10 out of 100. Okay? So you're dividing it by 10. If you're finding 1%, what would you divide it by then? Would it be 2? No, it's a much smaller amount. If you think 1%, 1 out of 100. What would you divide it by?
You divide by 1. No.
You think finding 1 out of 100. So if I had 100 sweets and I wanted 1%, 1 out of 100.
Would you divide it by 100?
Yes, you would divide it by 100. Good. So, 50% divided by 2, 25% divided by 4, 10% divided by 10, 1% divided by 100. I would like you to have a go at these questions, and then I will go through them on the board before you all start your challenges.